Taiwan High-Speed Rail, otherwise referred by locals as Taiwan高铁, is one of the simplest high-speed rail lines in Asia. Consisting of a single line covering the entire length of the island from Taipei in the north to Kaoshiung in the south. It's one speedy way to cover the entire country in under 2 hours. Built as a result of the country's rapid economic development, let's take a deep dive into this setup. Because its simplicity began with a rather complicated clash of cultures.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a
And good morning guys, welcome to Taipei. Today I'm coming to you from TAIWAN Station and I'm getting on board the high-speed rail to get me from right here in Taipei to Kaohsiung, a city in the south of the country. Behind me is the Taipei Metro and it's connected to the high-speed rail station right here, right behind me. So come along with me and I'll show you what the experience on the Taiwan high-speed rail is all about. Let's do this.
Everybody just do your thing.
Most visitors to Taiwan riding the high-speed rail from Taipei to Kaohsiung would usually commence their journey at Taipei Station. But I spent the night at an airport hotel just outside Taoyuan Airport after arriving from Japan and China last night, which explains this weird starting point. I thought it was rather pointless for me to backtrack for an hour towards Taipei Station. So here we are. If you're new to my channel, my name's Ryan. Born and bred in Singapore, I now call Australia home, and I create heaps of travel and food-related content. This trip sees me set foot in 8 cities covering 4 countries over the course of 2.5 weeks. Therefore, this travel series will include heaps of flight reviews, train journeys, and destination vlogs for your viewing pleasure. These videos will be linked in the description below in chronological order as and when they're published. If you'd like to make a direct impact into the growth of my channel, give me a like, hit subscribe and the bell icon, and share this video with a friend. Your support will go a long way, so here's a heartfelt thanks from down under. A lot of these stations along the high-speed rail line opened in the early 2000s. And one thing I love about these locations are the food options. I bring your attention to the convenience stores of Taiwan, and in this instance, 7-Eleven. If you're from Australia, throw away what you know and reset your understanding about what these marts are. Because the food options here are just out of this world. You can literally have a very good meal here for not a lot of money. And it's not shitty microwave TV dinners. These are actually rather wholesome, decent meals. My lunch consisted of something quintessentially Taiwanese. This is creamy, rich papaya milk. So good. And this is an onigiri, which is Japanese in its origins, consisting of a rice bowl with smoked salmon within, wrapped in a seaweed. Yum! To understand how Taiwan's high-speed rail came about, we look back to the post-war development of this country. After World War II and the subsequent turmoil in China leading to mass migration of the Kuomintang from mainland, Taiwan faced a lot of challenges trying to find its feet economically. The government set about trying to transform its economy of agriculture to one of export expansion. Therefore, the country began to heavily industrialize by the 1970s, eventually catapulting Taiwan into becoming one of the 4 Asian tigers as a dynamic capitalist economy by the time 1980s rolled in. The explosive growth of Taiwan's economy is best illustrated in this graph, which tracks the GDP of the country and the sharp rise beginning in the late 1950s when industrialization took hold. infrastructure needed to be built. Roads were becoming crowded. And domestic air travel, as I covered in an earlier video, wasn't exactly the safest because of frequent accidents. And the challenging terrain of Taiwan also meant keeping its population connected was an uphill task. The excellent connectivity between Taipei and Kaohsiung means there is a train leaving every 5 to 10 minutes from both ends, between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. The rolling stock used for this trip is the THSR 700T, manufactured by a consortium of Kawasaki Heavy Industries, Nippon Sharyo, and Hitachi Limited. If you think this train looks familiar, you're not wrong, because it's based on the 700 series Shinkansen train in Japan, which I featured on a previous video. Today I was traveling in business class, so the excitement of boarding a train journey is most palpable. But this excitement was short-lived as the attendant saw my camera and promptly told me, 不能试哦, and proceeded to close the door on me. For the first time in my life, I pretended not to understand Mandarin and said, "What? Sorry, no Chinese." Not my proudest moment. But now the understanding was I spoke no Mandarin, so they pretty much left me alone for the entire journey. On my part, I became rather discreet in my filming attempts in order not to piss the staff off any further. Not exactly the experience I was hoping for. Feasibility studies into a high-speed rail corridor began formally in 1987, and by 1990, it was concluded that a high-speed rail would offer the largest volume of transit with lowest land use, highest energy savings, and least pollution. The Western Corridor was obviously the area of study because this proposed line would then cover 90% of the island's population. In November 1994, the Taiwanese government decided major infrastructure projects like the high-speed rail construction should not come from public funds. And this project should be on a build-to-operate basis, which meant the private company who won the bid to construct would also be given the right to operate it as a concession to recover its investments and operating expenses during the course of construction. With this in mind, the bidding process saw two entities fighting to get their foothold into this historic project. The Taiwan High-Speed Rail Consortium, using the platform of European technology, and the Zhonghua High-Speed Rail Consortium, their offering based on the Japanese Shinkansen technology. The former was picked because they offered to build the network with a lower price. And this led to the formation of the Taiwan High-Speed Rail Corporation, or THSRC, in May 1998. There is a snack and drink service when you're riding in business class as part of your fare paid. That said attendant who stopped me earlier on proceeded to ask in English if I would like a drink and a snack. A packet of biscuits and apple juice was provided several times as we stopped and pulled away from the numerous stations along the way. By 1999, THSRC was facing difficulties in raising the capital needed, and the Japanese Shinkansen saw an opportunity to muscle its way back in, and together with the Japanese government, offered to provide loans to the corporation if the Shinkansen was selected. Following a high-speed rail disaster in Germany, THSRC made the decision to switch from the Eurotrain team to the Japanese Shinkansen despite the financial penalties which would result from that switch. Before this project even got off the ground, it had already cost THSRC $65 million in compensation, which was paid out to the Eurotrain Group in 2004. But all was not lost on the European side though. THSRC decided to maintain portions of the European safety systems to be incorporated into the Shinkansen technology, much to the frustration of the Japanese after their initial excitement of winning the bid. You see, prior to this, there have been several attempts to export the Shinkansen technology outside of Japan. But its stubborn insistence on delivering the entire project as a single integrated unit, rails, rolling stock, and related IT systems meant it was always going to be a tough sell. This expensive proposition, plus its lack of flexibility, have altogether botched some deals, and near agreements have vanished as the level of commitment became apparent. Now that the Shinkansen has got its foot into the door of Taiwan, having to work with the Europeans became a problem almost immediately. For example, Shinkansen trains have a driver door, so the final safety checks is still done by the driver before the train pulls out. The European safety system is a lot more straightforward. Safety checks are done by the platform staff, and the driver just concentrates on driving, so having a driver door was redundant. The different cultural working methods between the Japanese and Europeans also frequently created a lot of friction amongst the project. Ultimately, this friction made it to the press, and public confidence in the high-speed rail was sinking as it neared completion. As both sides pushed to mold their areas of responsibility together as one, the rolling stock was ready to be delivered by 2004. It was based on the N700 series currently running in Japan, but several modifications were made. For one, there was no driver door, and second, the nose cone was also shortened, leading this to be designated the THSR 700T, T for Taiwan. Unsurprisingly, the interior is similar to the Japanese N700 Shinkansen. Seats are similarly cushy. Charging ports are also the same as the Japanese ones. And of course, these rather clunky but very comfortable footrests, which makes for a very nice cabin to be in. Standard class is laid out in a 2x3 configuration, once again, similar to their Japanese counterpart. THSRC spent the rest of 2005 and 2006 testing and commissioning the line, starting with crawling the rolling stock along the rail and gradually working up its speed before topping it out in the final stages at 315 km per hour. This was an integration of technology from both Japan and Europe, and the press decided once again to focus on this pairing. They angled their story by covering on the safety implications of this, stemming from communication difficulties due to language and different accents. Still, the organization pushed ahead. This project has already come too far for it to fail. The service was officially opened to the public on the 5th of January 2007. About 140,000 passengers a day is needed for the operations to break even. And in its early days, THSRC struggled with an average of 65,000 daily passengers. Together with depreciating assets, THSRC was unsurprisingly accumulating a huge amount of debt from the get-go. Reversing its policy of not getting public funds involved, the Taiwanese government came in with a financial bailout to the tune of $951 million, giving them a 64% stake in THSRC. As far as the government is concerned, this project is far too essential to the country's transportation infrastructure for it to fail. For the next 6 years, the Taiwanese high-speed rail slowly but surely saw their ridership number climb. It began to break even in the early 2010s, before seeing an operational profit around 2015. As ridership numbers continued to swell, it also changed the face of domestic air travel. By 2008, the high-speed rail has outcompeted planes. The busy air corridor between the two airports in Taipei and Kaoshiung began to dwindle. Finally, in 2012, there would be no more flights between that city pair. So here we are, the Taiwan High-Speed Rail. Fast forward to the time of writing, this system today sees a daily ridership number of about 200,000 passengers spread out over 151 train services. That's 1% of the country's population. On hindsight, putting the cost aside, going with the Japanese Shinkansen would have been the logical choice because Japan and Taiwan face two natural challenges: earthquakes and typhoons. 70% of this high-speed rail line are built on viaducts, which are constructed to withstand earthquakes. Despite these challenges, this service today has a punctuality rate of over 99%. Today, it is a symbolic part of Taiwanese life. It has allowed residents in other parts of Taiwan to commute to Taipei for work, when a decade ago, this idea would have been crazy. Think about it. Zipping from Kaohsiung to Taipei in under an hour and a half, traveling at 300 kilometers an hour, clock a day's work, then return to Kaohsiung in the evening. It has truly transformed the Taiwanese way of life. FYI, this one-way ticket in business class from Taoyuan Station in Taipei to Zuoying Station in Kaohsiung cost me 2,200 new Taiwan dollars, which is about 100 Aussie dollars. This is definitely a great way to see the country and a must-do the next time you're in Taiwan. And with this, I conclude the video, and let's join Live Ryan at Zuoying Station in Kaohsiung to wrap things up.
Well guys, welcome to Kaohsiung. So that was the Taiwan high-speed rail for you. It is modeled after the Shinkansen in Japan, and there are obviously a lot of similarities between those two trains. Yeah, so that was the high-speed rail for you right here in Taiwan. A very convenient way for you to get between Taipei and Kaohsiung. And here I am. Jeez, it is so warm here. This is supposed to be winter, but according to the electronic board up there, it is 29 degrees. There you go. This is Kaohsiung City behind me, and welcome to Kaohsiung once again, guys. Well, anyway, I've chucked details of my Instagram on your screen right now, so hit me up there. Chuck me a follow, so you can come along with me on my travels in real time. And of course, more importantly, do not forget to hit subscribe and the bell notification icon, and I will see you for my next video. Bye.